My friends, and welcome to this video. This is just, I'm sharing with you my heart. So I'm going to be sharing some things with all of you today that I don't know if I ever shared before, and of course some things you would have heard before me talk about. I have a lot of videos on YouTube and I did a lot of heart-to-hearts, but I want to just tell you what I've been going through and some things that I am working through in my life. I did a series on Amish living. People remarked, of course, all of you, when I say people, I mean my close friends, you guys that watch my videos every day. Most likely, if you're watching this video, you like spending time with me. And so this isn't going to be a YouTube shared video. But I loved doing the Amish series. That brought me the most happiness. But I will be sad to say that I stopped doing some of them simply because of the outlandish outlashes of a few people. And it really stopped me because once again, I was going by the peer pressure. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about my life in the upcoming videos that you're going to see. There's more to my story than I don't think I've ever shared before, at least not often. I grew up in a very plain environment. Now, of course, my parents were not plain when they adopted me, but all of my family, my relations, my uncles and aunts, they were very plain. And uncle was actually the bishop of the Old Order Mennonite Church. The bishop is very high standing in the Old Order Mennonites. I grew up with very plain knowledge and history in my life. My mother had two aunts that were never married, and they were horse and buggy people. In other words, they weren't Amish, but yet they were that plain that they drove a horse and buggy. I have a lot of memories of them as well. My mother would pick a certain kind of flower that was a wildflower, and she would take it to her aunts. I have many memories of loved ones that passed away. In fact, I remember a child that passed away in the Old Order Mennonite Church. As a young girl, I remember going to the funeral and having the horse and buggies line up because the funerals were in their homes. I remember my grandma and grandpa, when they passed away, their viewing was in their home. Their funerals and how the church was lined up with the women on the one side and the men on the other. See, these are memories of mine that I grew up with. And these are memories that are instilled deeply in me because I'm extremely sentimental. There are stories in my life that I want to share with everyone. And I decided, am I going to be dictated on what I share because some people may not share my love and my affection for the plain people? While the plain people are highly spotlighted in the social media, there are romance books and there's all kinds of cookbooks on plain people and Mennonites and Amish. I have memories in my life. These are my family members. And while I don't say I am the plain Mennonite, of course, with my pink lipstick, my little eyeliner, and my pink bandana, I hold many of these traditions in my life because they are deeply rooted in my life. Recently, I started adding a link to all of my videos. Now, people who are very interested and very observant will notice the link, and this is No Cross and No Crown. This book was actually written by William Penn, who founded Pennsylvania. But it was only a few years ago. It was actually edited by Ivan Martin, and that is my uncle. So he did not write the book, but he transcribed the book in more terms that the modern person would understand. This book has changed my life, impacted me in many ways. While a lot of it would not resonate with just about everyone because it is very different type of reading. And I have to read it over and over again for me to comprehend it because it is not an easy read. My uncle Ivan Martin transcribed this book, and it is on Amazon. My uncle Ivan is a Mennonite. I'm the happiest when I share my plain living. I'm the happiest when I share my memories. I decided to make a step and make a stand that in my videos I am going to share my plain ancestry. Not just plain 200, 300 years ago, but plain to this day. 90% of all of my cousins are plain Mennonite women. 90% of all of my ancestors were plain. And I hold that part in my life. I am not considered plain. But yet, I have the plain outlook on life. I have a lot to show you, and I have a lot to share. I have not shared some personal parts of my life out of fear. But I feel like, why do I hold so much back when I could share so much of my memories with all of you and a different lifestyle? I want to explain something to you. In every religion, and every person, and every color and creed, there is always going to be bad apples. It doesn't matter what religion it is. It doesn't matter what philosophy it is. There's always going to be, oh, but I don't like so-and-so because they do this and that. And I understand that. I've been condemned about the Amish and saying, how do you ever portray that you like the Amish when they do all of these things, like with the dog kennels and the things like that? I want to say I'm not focusing on the negativity of any religion or any lifestyle. I'm focusing on the positive and what that lifestyle has meant to me and how it has changed my life. Not just by reading books, but because I lived it as a child. Now, my parents left the Mennonite church, and I went into great detail why they left the plain church. Maybe my thinking is juvenile, but I think that you can still live a certain part of the heritage and the biblical knowledge and not be so legalistic about it. But that's my thinking. That's not really what my videos are about when I share my personal story. My personal story is to share with you beautiful, happy, lovely memories of growing up among people that were plain. When I say plain, I mean that some of them were so plain they wouldn't even have their photos taken. My grandma and Grandpa Brubaker were so plain that they didn't have their photos taken. I'm very thankful that I do have some photos of my Martin side, because those photos are beautiful because it was just a snapshot of somebody's life that was very plain, that normally doesn't get their photos taken. For instance, the photo of my grandma and grandpa. They didn't have their photos taken very often, but they allowed sometimes, once in a while, a photo to be taken. I have a lot of memories of being with them once a week, and the dialogue of the Pennsylvania Dutch, grandma in her kitchen who cooked a lot of meals. I have my grandma's recipe box. I will be sharing with you her recipes. I'm getting older. I don't want to go with the status quo and say, I'm going to be silent and not talk about this because some people don't like it or some people aren't interested in it. I want my channel to be my memories alive. And in that, you're going to see peace and comfort and kindness. I never experienced anything negative with the Mennonite church. I've never experienced anything negative. I've always experienced kindness and love. Like when I would spend time at my aunt's house, and I was not plain, but my cousins were plain, and we would go out in the garden and we would sneak the strawberries out of the strawberry patch. Now, I always was wearing dresses, and I always was taught to be respectful when we went to their homes, and we always wore plainer type clothing, even though we weren't plain. I have a lot of memories. I have memories of when my dear sweet cousin passed away because he fell in the manure pit trying to find a wrench that fell. I remember his funeral like it was yesterday, while he was dressed all in white and laying in the coffin in their living room. He was about my age. When he passed away, it was about 17, 18. I remember my one other cousin who fell from a silo and died. I have these memories in my life, and what they brought to me was, there was a lot of sadness, but there was a lot of community. There was a lot of kindness. People came in. I remember not too many years ago when our big garage, my parents' big garage, where there was their warehouse, where their business was held, and the roof collapsed. And the neighbors that were playing and my cousins came, and we would all work together hand by hand, taking things out from underneath the rubble to try to save it. I remember my Aunt Ruth coming and helping my mother, and her standing peeling potatoes and helping. I remember all of these things. While I enjoy reading stories about the Amish and the simple way of living, and I enjoy all of these things, there are certain aspects of my life that I lived them. My maiden name is very plain. It's a very plain name that if you lived in a part of Pennsylvania, you would recognize my name very well. That is my heritage. I have proudness of it because it was a heritage of people who worked really hard. And I am really excited to share more about my heritage in a tangible way with all of you. So I can't wait. I'm so excited and I am so happy. I also want to say a special thank you to the influx of new subscribers that I have received in the last 30 days. It has truly been a life-changing blessing for me. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank all of you who have supported me all these years by watching my videos. And I want to thank YouTube for sharing my videos, for seeing value in me and in my channel, for all of you. I'm just so super happy, and I'm going to dedicate so much more time and energy to my videos and sharing with you the simple way of living, the living of my ancestors.